I said we are going to talk about um, colors in design. Or the colors in Photoshop rather. Colors in Photoshop. Yeah, so now when you are dealing with colors, I've explained this over and over again and I'm going to go over it again. When you are dealing with colors in Photoshop, you are dealing with a tool called Color Picker. And I've also explained that in Photoshop we have different kinds of fill, so that includes solid fill, that includes what's that again, we have solid fill, we have gradient fill, and so on and so forth, and we have pattern fill, and then no fill. So now look at this. I have my rectangle tool selected and I've drawn a rectangle. Now once I draw the rectangle, it will bring out an appearance panel by the right here, just as you can. So once it brings out the appearance panel, we have fill, we have stroke, and I'm sure I've explained all these things before. And we also have it up here in our, should I call it, taskbar now. Trying to gather all the stuff you guys did since last week. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this place is where this fill is how you select a color. Once you open the fill in the appearance panel, up here it's going to show your recent colors, the recent colors you've used. Now here, this means no fill, that is, there is no color attached to the what's it called now, to the object, whether it's a text or it's an image or it's a shape. We move on. This is a solid fill. Now a solid fill is used to put one solid color over the shape or the object or the elements that you are trying to color. After that, it's by solid color we mean just like one color. After that, we move on to gradient fill. Now gradient fill, I think I've explained this, but for the sake of going over it, let me explain it again. So gradient fill is merging at least two colors as a fill, at least two colors. So now here, now when you have to select the extreme color, the extremes, so the extreme by the right and the extreme by the left, or the extreme by the at the top and at the bottom. So let's look at what we have here. What we have here is a gradient, right? A gradient of black and white. The bottom here is black, the top here is white. So what it does is it blends them. That's why you have these different shades of gray. So let's say we want to change the color of these gradients. So we come here, down here, and we click it. It's going to open a pop-up here. Now this stop up here is for opacity. The two up is for opacity. So that is transparency, how transparent that color that you are trying to put there is going to be. So if you move this, it's just like adjusting the opacity. Why the ones down is the color stop. So that's what we use to select a particular color. So if we want this square that we have here, if we want it to be what's it called now, if we want it to be, let's say, different shades of blue, so a blue gradient, what we can do is, or let's say red and orange, you come down here, you see where my cursor is, you select the color, pick your extreme color. So I pick anywhere here. This is the color picker. So I pick, let's say, red, and then okay, you can see it's being affected there. You now come here, white, you select. Remember, I want to make it yellow, but you can see that there is no yellow in this color picker. You come to this one by the side, by the right, you can select different colors from here. So we have red, pink, blue, light blue, green, yellow, red, and everything in between. So let me set it at yellow. So you can see that it has given me different shades of yellow. So I can now pick the yellow I want, and then okay, and then okay. So now we have our gradient fill. Now this is called a linear gradient fill. A linear gradient fill is just a fill that goes from one side to the other. So it could be from the left to the right, it could be from the top to the bottom, it could be bottom up, or it could be from the right to the left. That's a linear fill. Now, do we have different kinds of fill? I think I already explained. Now let's say we want to swap the rows. So we want this yellow to be down and red to be up. You come here to the right. There are two ways you can do it. You can open your color stops and just change the colors. So I'll change this red to yellow and change this yellow to red so that it swaps. Alternatively, you can just come here and swap it. This is a reverse gradient. So once I click this here, it reverses it. So what was up now comes down, and what was down goes up. That's aside. Let's say we want it to go from left to right rather than right to left, rather than from top to bottom. So you open your gradient. You see this place that we have angle, so you adjust the angle, or you can use this one and drag it. So see, it's moving as I'm changing the angle. Watch here, the angle is changing. So this is it. Let's take it to where it was before. Yeah, so we can see now it's now yellow to from yellow side to the red side, unlike when it was from top to bottom. So as I was saying, we have different kinds of gradients. So here we have a linear gradient, we have a radial gradient. So let's see what a radial, this is what a radial gradient is. Like a circle emanating from the center. So we have red by the side, and then it's then there's a yellow glow inside. Remember, we can still reverse it, so it will now be yellow blending into red. So that's a radial field, radial gradient rather. We have the angular gradient. So this one is from an angle. You can adjust the angle as you wish. So it's just red fading, blending into yellow. After the angle, we have the reflected. Now this reflected is what we usually use to create all this golden texture. So we add different shades of gold into it. It will now look like a golden texture. This is what we use, reflected. Now all these things, you can even create them. You can create them manually. So you don't have to use the preset that Photoshop already has on ground. I don't know why these things are not saving. So for instance now, I'll show you, yeah, I'll show you how to set all of them, yeah. But what else? After reflected, we have diamond. So this is a diamond gradient. This is just all there is to it. So have we gotten it up to this point? Remember, we are still talking about colors. Let me go over it again. So I said we have different types of gradients, and we can find them down here. So first of all, we have the linear gradients. Linear gradient moves in a linear way. So it moves just from one place to another. For instance, it can go from top to bottom, like what we have here. Then we now have radial. Look at radial gradient. This one is like round. You know, the other one is from one part to another. This one is just round. Then we now have the angular gradient. This one goes from an angle. For instance, it's at 90 degree now. So let me change the degree. Just come down here. It's down here that you can affect everything. Let me change it to 45. So now you see it's now at 45 degree. Let me put it at 30 degree. It's at 30 degree now. So that's angular gradient. Then we have reflected gradient. What reflected does is, you know that linear, angular and radial, they just move from one color to the second color. But what reflected does is it moves from color A to color B and then back to color A. What do I mean? Let me go back to linear. Now you can see that linear here, it moves from red to yellow. Let me set it at an angle that's easy to explain. Okay, so you see that it moves from up red to yellow. Same thing goes with radial. Radial from red towards the center to yellow. Angular from red it goes anti-clockwise to yellow. Reflected, but the thing about reflected is reflected goes 2 times, so that is it goes from the initial color to the second color and then back to the initial color. So here we have red, it starts from red, it goes to yellow in the center and then back to red. Do you get it now? And then finally we have the diamond. The diamond is just like the radial, but it's the diamond at the center of the gradient. That is it. Now I talked about creating this reflected gradients that we can actually create it ourselves. So let me do that. Or should I let me start with radial. I'll show you a very good way to create a radial gradient. Is that necessary? Let's just go to the reflected. That's the one I'm most interested in now. So now this is the reflected gradient. Now let's say we don't want what Photoshop is giving us here. We want to create our own. We can just come to our fill, remove it from gradients, like go back to solid fill. Let's say okay, yeah, something like this. Right, okay, no, it's still going to be gradients here. So a linear gradient. Remember how to change the color. We pick this, open our color picker, we pick red, right? Then we pick the second color stop and then pick yellow. And okay, now what we have here is a linear gradient, right? Now let's turn this linear to reflected. What we can do is, now the thing is, on the body of this, you know that this is the extreme and this is the second extreme. So this is the left, this is the right. I hope you guys can see my movements. Now when you look at this, you can add more stops. You know that we have only 2 stops, the beginning and the end. We can add stops in the center. So for instance, let me come to the middle here, click it, it creates a stop. Look at what happened to our what's it called now, to the shape that we have here. So if we now want to create that reflected, remember how reflected gradients work. They move from one to the other and then back to the initial one. So here we have red, right? Then we move to yellow. So that means this last one will be red again. So we take it to red and we pick our red, and just like that we've created our reflected gradients manually. So this is for cases where you might want to like have so many stops. So let's say I want to have as many stops as possible. So I pick red. No, this should be yellow. Then red. Then yellow. So this is should I call it double reflected or something? Well, that's basically how that works when it comes to gradients. Is that okay? So I don't know, is that clear? Is it better now? So that we can move on to what's the second thing we said we'll be dealing with today? So that we can move on to, is it type 2? Yeah, type 2. I'm going to bring in everything you guys did so that we can go over them. Okay, so let's quickly go to okay, I said I'll show you icons. Now there's one thing I've noticed about some people's designs, which is, look at my second artboard now. Let me see if I can find someone. Yes, so look at this. Let's zoom in design. Something like this is not neat. At least in this modern age, you shouldn't still be doing something like this. I don't know who did this particular design, or whether this is, no, this is not the original one. I think this is a okay zone Abi. Kelechi, this is your own. Now this is not neat. I've told you guys, maintain consistency when you are using icons. This is red for venue, location, right? Green for call, red for call. I don't understand. Okay, maybe that green for WhatsApp. I've told you, now whenever you are designing, be consistent with your icons, so let them all be the same color. And the best way to do it is the color you are using for your text, use it for your icon. For instance, now we are using blue text, right? So we should use blue all through for our icons. Now, so you now ask me, yeah, someone asked me that question, that how do they get, or how do they color icons? So that's what we are going to look at now. First of all, the first question is, where do I get icons? So let's go. There are many places to get icons. Can someone type so that I will know that you guys are following everything I'm saying? Number one is flat icons. Someone should type it. I did not say you should react. Type it in the chat. Flat icons. Number two is, I think, icons 8. We are going to check everything. Well, let me just search for who is typing. Oh yeah, type. I want to see it. Type it on the call, not on WhatsApp. So look at my screen now. Can you see it? We have first option, flat icon. It's together, not separated. Flat icon. We have free pick. So we are still going to talk about resources, and we are going to see places to get so many things. Amechi, are you with us? Alright, I hope we are not confusing it too much. Just make sure you go through those previous videos and always frequent my DM. Sure you get. If there's any question or anything, even if it means I will have to make a video for you, or we have to get on a call like this, we'll do that. So frequent my DM, watch the videos, let me know if you have any issues so that you can come up to speed. Do you understand? Alright. So now we have free pick, right? Who is typing for us? Flat icon, free pick, icons 8. Yeah, the icons 8 that I talked about. Icon finder. I think these are okay. There is no icon you'll be looking for that you can't find in all these places. So let's start with flat icons first. Let's see how to download icons. I hope Grace can see this. flaticons.com, I think.
Yes, I can.
Alright. So once you visit flaticons.com, okay, let me open all that so that it won't waste our time. Then there is icons 8, right? .com. Flat icon without the S. Flat icon. I always make this mistake. Without the S. Then we have icons 8. That's the line project. Okay. Icons8.com. Oh yeah, there's also Fonts Awesome. That one is a really nice one. And then Freepik. Freepik is freepik.com, www.freepik.com. So let's go to which one is ready for us. So this is this is Icons 8 rather. So once you come here, you can get different icons here. This is the search bar, so you search for the icon you want. So let's assume I want to search for WhatsApp icon. I'll come here and click on the search and then type WhatsApp icon. WhatsApp icon. Yeah. Okay, let's use WhatsApp logo. Or do anyone to still go shy? Then enter. So can you see it now? The different assorted WhatsApp icons they've made available for us. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. So there are so many here. Now this is the point where I explained that there are different styles for icon, but there are three that I want to talk about. So we have the colored, which is this. Look at this first one where I'm hovering. This was how it has the actual color and everything. Now that is a colored icon. We have the outline icon. Oh, thank God they even have it here, but we'll go over that. So we have the outline icon, which is just like a lines outline of the logo. And then we now have field. This one they fill it with a color. Do you understand? So this is it. We have a black against white, right? I mean white color icon on the black chart. What do they even call this thing? Call out. Yeah, call out. Now look at the different styles. They say this is UI. Look to your left, see where my cursor is. This is UI, right? This is decorative, like style. You can see that they styled it. Look at this one that has spaces. Look at this one outline. This one they colored it blue, which is a very bad thing to do. Now we have the outline, the one I just explained now. This is the outline. It's just an outline, a stroke of the icon. We have the field. Okay, Tomiwa, let me finish what I'm explaining now. We have the field, we have the colored, we have the 3D, we have the hand drawn, duotone, all these ones. You might not have to ever need it. Let's stick to the 3. So that's it. So now, I believe you guys understand. So let me ask, do you guys understand what I mean by outlined, field, and colored icons? Do you understand? Grace, do you understand?
Yes, I do, sir.
Alright. Now, like I said, always be consistent. So if you are using colored in that flyer you are designing or in anything, use colored all through. If you are using outline, use outline all through. If you are using field, use field all through. Don't be mixing it up. Don't use outline here and then field somewhere else. So let's move on to downloading. So once you click on anyone you want, this is, we are downloading from Icons 8 now, right? So it's very straightforward. This is it, and this is the big download button. The big green button. You click on it, it shows you different sizes, the ones they have available for free and the ones that are not free. Let me move this to the side. Accept necessary. So here, of course, always download your icons in PNG. PNG is without background. You can also download it SVG, but let's not complicate things. PNG. Now look at the sizes they have available. They have 50 by 50, 100 by 100. That is, it gets bigger. Well, since icons are usually small, you don't need all these big ones. So let's just go with 100 by 100. If you don't uncheck others, it will download everything, and you just need one now. It will download the one that is 50 by 50 pixels, 100 by 100, 150. You don't need it. So uncheck others. So we have only the one of 100 by 100. You scroll down and then look at download. You download, and that is it. So you can now find it in your, depending on whether you are using your laptop or your phone, you can now find it. So that's it for icons 8. Now every other website follows the same pattern. For instance, look at flat icon now. When you open it, it automatically shows you the search box. So we've downloaded WhatsApp. Let's try to download that location pin. It's called location pin, but I'm sure that if you type location, venue, any of them, it will bring it up. So let's type location. Want to download that location icon. This from flat icon now. You can also get it from icons 8, but I want to like use everything so that anyone you want to use, you know how to navigate. So that's what we have here. You can see it now. We can see, oh yeah, this one that I'm hovering over. Can you guys type what kind of icon is it? Between the three I told you about, field, outline, and colored, what type is this? Oh yeah, someone should type it, please. It's an outline. Thank you very much, Samichi. And then this one is colored. This red one is colored. For Grace, for your sake, let me go over it again. We have three kinds of outline, icons rather. We have the outline, which is this one that is just like everything is white, but then we just have black lines going over it. It's not a must that it's black, it can be any color. So this is an outline icon, this is another outline icon. Now we have field. That one is filled with a color, usually black. So this is black, field, field, field. Are we together? This one is field. Now we have colored. Colored is usually colored like other colors. For instance, this one we have here. Now let me introduce one more. We have rounded, which is example. Check this fourth one in the second row, in the second line. You can see that for rounded, a circle will now round the icon. That's what we call rounded icons. Simple and straightforward, Abby. So let's try and download from, remember we are downloading outline, right? So let's download from flat icon now. Once you hover over it, you see this green button, which stands for download, right? So you can just click the green button, it will download, or you can decide to open the icon, so it will bring up this pop-up. You click on PNG and then free download. So when it's done downloading, of course it will save to your device. So that's basically the same process. I don't know what's wrong with Freepik here, but that's the same process. So if you go to Freepik, it will also show you the search bar. So you now type in the icon you want. I have to move because of time now. The same thing with Fonts Awesome. You search, I don't know why it not loads, but you search and then you get it. So that is it. Now we are going to learn how to color those these things we downloaded. So go to our downloads. I think we downloaded two, right? So let me look. Right, so we have the location and the WhatsApp. So let me move two of them into our artboard. Good. This is the location pin and this is the WhatsApp icon. Now remember what I told you. I said it's usually best to use the color of your text for your icon. Now, seeing that the text we have here is blue, but what we downloaded is black, how do we change the color? Very simple. Go to your layers panel. This is it down here. Let me move this away. So this is the icon down here. Your layers panel will be by your right, and the one that just puts my own by the left, because it works better for me there. So close this. Good. So this is it. Now what you do is you come down here, you will see some buttons down here. This first one is for effects, which we are going to discuss eventually. This is for layer mask. This is for adjustment layers. This is for group. This is for new layer, and then this is for delete layer. I'm going to explain everything eventually. So now we come to effects and go to color overlay. Now what color overlay does is it uses a color and places it over, or it superimposes it over any object, whether it's a picture, a text, an icon, a shape, whatever it is. It superimposes it over that one. So once we click on color overlay, now it's going to open a pop-up. Now look at the pop-up. These are options for our color overlay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to like move things so that I can see both. Good. So this is it. Now it has painted it. Let me make it a bright color so that you can see the difference. Now you can see that it has painted our icon yellow, but remember it's blue that we want. So what do? We come here, this place that we have. Remember, anywhere we have this, it opens the color picker. So we click on it, it opens the color picker, and then using the color picker we come and pick the blue that they used. So once we select it, we click on OK and see it's now that blue. So we can now use that blue over since it's the same color with our text. Do we understand this process, or should I go over it one more time? You guys please respond quickly because we're out of time already. So do we understand this process, or should I go over it? Okay, you understand, but you want me to go over it? Okay, so let me use the second one, which is this WhatsApp icon. Let me use it to do the second explanation. So we turn this on. So we have this, right? Remember, always download your icon as PNG so that this will work. Once you open your layer panel, you select the objects. Make sure it's selected in the layer. Make sure it's selected in the layer. Then you come down here that we have FX. It's called the layer style, and then select color overlay. Once you select color overlay, it will open a pop-up. In that pop-up, come to the place where we have a color. Select color. So let's assume that this time around I want to use red. Once it opens this color picker, now I've talked about this color picker before. Once it opens this color picker, you now use the color picker to select the color you want. So for instance, now I want a red, so I'll pick red. Okay, and this is it. That's about that. Okay, so I hope you get it. Don't worry, I'll make the recording available so that you can always go over it. Moving on, I said we'll talk about typography, text in Photoshop. Let's quickly go over that. And while we are going over it, I'll show you some tricks on how to find text. Yeah. Now, and I keep telling you guys to remind me to send you a video. Remind me to send you a video that will show you how to pick the exact text or a similar text to the text you have in a design. That is the font, I mean. How to pick the font. For instance, if I want to use this font that they used to write this Aquem up here, this Aquen here, and I don't know the name of the fonts, I'll show you how you can find it. Is that okay? So let's move on now. What's the next task? Yeah, now we have a text tool in Photoshop. It's called a type tool. Remember we talked about typography the other time, so we want to learn how to apply it in Photoshop now. So first thing, the shortcut is Ctrl T, or you can just come here to this our sidebar. Now once you click and hold down, we have a horizontal type tool, we have a vertical type tool, we have vertical type mask tool and horizontal type mask tool. We won't be stressing ourselves with things that we won't be making use of. Horizontal type tool is the usual type tool. So once you select it, you come and click in your artboard. Let me give it a color so that good. So you now write Spark design. Alright, so now let me select the vertical type too, so you can see how that one just types vertically, so it is the same thing. Let me start. I am a boy. So this is the vertical. It types vertically, while the horizontal types horizontally. But like I said, let's not waste time on things that we might never get to use. So now let's look at how to format text. In order to be able to format any text, first of all you need the character panel. So it's supposed to be here by the right, here, extreme right. But in case you don't have it there, you go to your Windows up here, you click on Windows, and then this is character. You click on it, it brings out this panel. Now I will explain everything that we have in this panel. Is there a way I can enlarge it? I don't think there is. So you guys just, I don't know, zoom it from your zoom it from your own end. You can zoom the screen. So you guys try that. Zoom my screen to the place where we have this character panel, so that you can see everything. Now the first thing we have here, this first dialog box, or this first drop down that we have here, is where we have the name of the font we want to use. Is that right? So once you click down here, it will show you a drop down of all the fonts you have. And the thing is, as you scroll over them, especially if you are using 2021, that is Photoshop 2021, as you scroll over them, watch the text the Spark Design Academy wrote. It's changing, so it's giving you a preview of what that font looks like. So let me go over it again. So let's say I want to select this Poppins. Let me select one that will have a significant difference. Okay, okay, this holiday free, or even the Christmas Day personal use. So you can see the text I wrote. Zoom out if you have to. You can see that the text has changed. So that's, we have changed the fonts. Moving on, what we have by the side, let me go back, let me go to Montserrat, something that will give us a versatile something good. Now we have Montserrat as our font. What we have here is font weight. It's called font weight. So font weight is how heavy the font is, how thick it is. So you can adjust it. So look at what happens when I scoop over there. So this is thin. Look at, let me increase the size of this thing so that, look at how thin the text has become. Very thin. I can change it to thin italic, so it's now italic. Extra lights. you can change it to extra light italic. We have light, you see it's getting thicker. We have regular, we have medium, you can see it's getting thicker. We have semi bold, we have bold, we have extra bold. Look at how thick the text is getting. It's getting thicker with any one we choose. We have black, so see how thick it has gotten. So that's how to manipulate that. Let's set it at semi bold. So it's up to you now to know the one that fits what you want to do. Now what we have under the font size, the font name, is font size. So once you click it, there are different sizes here. So let me increase it. It's currently at 31 points. Let me increase it to 36. So this is it. It's now at 36. If I want to make it small, I can bring it down to 18 maybe. It's smaller now. Let me make it bigger to 30. So this is how it is now. Are you seeing my screen? Are you seeing the changes? So moving on now, you can also type in the number. Let's say the number we want is not here. Let's say I want 72 is too small for what I want to do, so I can increase it to maybe 120. I can type in the 120 by myself and see how big it gets. So that is for font size, but let me reduce it to something. Now in case you have your text, for instance, you see this place that we have phones, laptops, and let me type it. Phones, laptops, MacBooks, games, watch straps, iWatch. There's a reason why I'm writing all these things out, so that I can explain that aspect. Good. So now these parts, just by the side of the font size is the font leading. So here we can adjust. What it does is it adjusts the space between the text up and the one down. So is at 42 points now. So if we say we should reduce it to maybe 36, watch what happens. The one down goes closer to the one up. If we say we should reduce it to 30, it goes closer. If we say we should reduce it to 24, it still goes closer. Let's now say we want to increase it to maybe 48. You see that the gap increases. We increase it more to 72, the gap increases. So that is the leading. Now up next we have the kerning. Now kerning refers to the space between each text, each letter rather. So it's at -10. Now let me set it at 0. You see what happens. So let's set it at -50. You see that everything is now clustered together. It comes closer to itself. -100 is clustered closer to itself. Let's say +100 now. See how it's spaced out. And let's say +200. It's spaced out even all the more. So that is what's it called now? That is kerning for you. Now let's move on to other things so that I can round up tonight. Maybe by Friday we'll look at your flyers and make the corrections I talked about. So let's look at these options down here. Anything I'm skipping, just know that it's not a major thing, but you can go over it on your own. So now let me just use only one laptop. Okay, so we have laptop on the screen. This makes it bold. So once I click this, you see it got a bit bolder. Let me remove it. Good. Now this makes it italics. The third one makes all caps, so everything is in capital letter now. The next one uses sentence case, converts it to sentence case, or rather it makes the succeeding text smaller than in size than the first text. It's called let me see what it's called. Let me remove it. So you can see everything is of the same size, but when we select this, the other text small caps. Now this is for superscripts. Superscripts, let me change the P to superscript so you see what it is. So when we attach superscript, you see how E is now, how P is rather, like raised to power. The opposite is what happens with subscripts, I think. Yeah, subscripts. So let's turn this P to subscript. It's down here. Then we have underline. This is to underline, and then this is to strike through. That's all we have there. So I think that's where we should stop for tonight, because we've overshot our time. So that's how to manipulate text. Yeah, there's something else I wanted to talk about. So now we have warp up here. We use it to warp our text. So let's warp this laptop now, so you see what I'm talking about. Up here, this T that we have here, this T that we have here, once you click it, it opens this pop-up. So you select the style of warp that you want. You select the style of the warp that you want. So now we can have arc. Let me select arc. See arc now. It curves like this. So you can have it either horizontal or vertical. Are you guys seeing my screen? Are you seeing what I'm doing at all?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So your arc can be either horizontal or vertical, like we have here. Then you can choose to adjust the bend. Just play with these things to get what you want. So for instance, horizontal now, I can choose to drag in the bend to reduce the bend or to increase the bend. So it depends on you. Just play with these things here. Next, we have a lower arc. So look at how the lower arc is. You can also play with this stuff to adjust this slider to adjust everything. So this is a lower arc. We move on to an upper arc. This is what an upper arc looks like. So you can just play with all these options here and just find one that looks like what you are looking for. So look at this one. This one is flag. So I think that's it. So before we call it a night, does anyone have any question relating to the things we talked about today, especially color and icons and text, character manipulation or character setting? Any question, anybody?
No.
Okay. Is Tamura on Discord? Okay, so let's call it a night. Thank you so much for your time. We are going to work on every other thing later on. We are meeting again on Friday to continue from where we stopped. On Friday we'll look at all these flyers that you guys did and look at how to make it better. Is that okay? Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Have a nice night.